Hey there. Every financial decision you make, whether it's saving for a trip or, taking out a loan, it's really telling a story, right? It has a beginning, a middle, and an end. Well, today, we're going to learn the language of that story, and we're going to use the incredible tools inside Excel to become the author.
Now, at the heart of every single one of those stories is this one central mystery. $1 today is worth more than $1 tomorrow. That single sentence, that's the fundamental principle every financial detective has got to master. It's why we plan, it's why we invest, and it's really the core concept we're here to solve today.
All right, so here is our game plan. We'll start with money's journey through time, introduce the 5 key financial clues, cover the rules of the investigation, and then we'll dive in and crack the case with Excel. After that, we'll even pinpoint the win, so you can become a true financial storyteller. Let's get started.
Okay, first up, money's journey through time. We're talking about the time value of money, or TVM. And honestly, this is the foundation for everything. Everything we're about to cover. Getting this is the absolute first step.
So here's the best way to think about it. Your money, it's like a seed. $1 you plant today gets watered by interest. It grows in the sun of the market. And, it becomes more than just $1. But $1 you get tomorrow, well, it's missed out on all that growing time. That's it right there. That earning potential is what gives today's dollar its power.
So now let's talk about the 5 financial clues. See, every financial story, I don't care if it's a simple car loan or a huge retirement plan, it always involves the same 5 key characters, or clues. Let's meet the cast. All right, think of this like a road trip. First up, you've got PV, or present value. That's your starting point, right? The gas in your tank right now. Then there's FV, future value. That's your destination. PMT, or periodic payment, those are your regular stops for gas along the way. Rate, that's your speed, how fast you're going. And finally, NPMT, that's just the length of your journey. How long is this trip going to take? Okay, before we pull out our detective tools, we have to talk about 2 simple, totally non-negotiable rules of the road. If you follow these, your answers will always be accurate. Seriously, get these right and you'll dodge the most common mistakes people make. Rule number 1 is the sign convention. It's super simple. Just think about your wallet. Money either flows in or it flows out. That's it. So any money you get, a cash inflow, like when you get a loan, that's a positive number. Any money you pay out, a cash outflow, like making a payment, that's a negative number. This is probably the single most critical rule to get the right answer. And rule number 2 is time consistency. Look, you wouldn't mix cups and liters in a recipe, right? It'd be a disaster. Same thing here. Your rate, your NPER, and your PMT, they all have to speak the same language. If you've got monthly payments, you need a monthly interest rate and the total number of months. If everything's annual, then everything has to be annual. Simple as that.
Okay, we've got the rules down, so let's head into the lab. This is where the fun really starts. Think of Excel's financial functions like these amazing forensic tools. You just give them 3 or 4 of the clues we just talked about, and they will figure out the missing one. It's how we solve the mystery.
All right, tool number 1, the PMT function. I like to call this one the Loan Repayment Predictor. This is the perfect detective when you need to figure out that regular fixed payment on a loan, or, how much you need to save each month to hit a goal. It tells you exactly what to set aside.
Okay, let's walk through the syntax for this tool nice and slow. To get our answer, we have to feed it some evidence. First, we need the rate. That's the interest rate for each period. Next is NPER, the total number of payment periods. Then we need the PV, which is the present value, or the starting loan amount. Now you'll see a couple of things in brackets there, FV and type. Those are optional. You can use them if you have, say, a final balloon payment, or if you need to tell Excel whether the payments happen at the beginning or end of the period.
So let's crack a case. Say you want a $140,000 car loan. The rate is 5% per year, but our payments are monthly, so we've got to divide that by 12. Remember, time consistency. The NPER is 5 years, so that's 5 times 12, or 60 months. The PV is $140,000. That's a positive number because you're getting that cash from the bank. It's an inflow. And let's say there's a final balloon payment of 10 grand you have to make. That's an outflow, so our FV is negative 10,000. And boom, there's our answer. The PMT function tells us the fixed monthly payment is $2,581.42. And see that negative sign? That's our sign convention rule doing its job perfectly.
It's telling us this is a cash outflow. It's money leaving your pocket every month. Case closed.
Okay, next up is the PV function. I love this one. I call it the financial time machine. Why? Because it tells you what a future chunk of money is worth today. It answers that all-important question, how much money do I need to put away right now to make my future goal happen?
The syntax here is going to look pretty familiar. We give it the rate, the NPER, and the regular PMT. We can also add an optional FE or type. The real power of this function is what it does behind the scenes. It takes all those future payments and brings them back to the present, telling you exactly what they're all worth in today's dollars. It's incredibly powerful for planning.
Okay, check out this case. You're planning a 9-month exchange program. Your money earns 3% a year, so our rate is 3% divided by 12. The NPER is easy. That's 9 months. You figure you'll need $3,500 a month for expenses, so PMT is negative $3,500, an outflow. Let's say you need an extra $600 at the very end, so FV is negative $600. And here's a key detail. You need the money at the beginning of each month, so we set the type to 1.
And there it is. The time machine gives us our answer, $31,643.55. The negative sign means that's the exact lump sum you need to deposit today, a cash outflow from you, into the account to completely fund your whole trip. All the guesswork is gone.
All right, now let's try to predict the future. For this, we're going to use our third tool, the FV function. This one is like our investment crystal ball. It looks ahead and shows you what your savings could grow into, thanks to the magic of compounding interest.
Once again, the syntax uses our familiar crew, rate, NPER, and PMT. But what's really useful here is that we can also add a PV, a present value. This is for if you're starting with an initial lump sum. The function then takes all that information and projects it forward in time, showing you exactly where your financial story is headed.
So for this case, let's look at a long-term investment. The rate is 6.5% a year. The NPER is 10 years. Now pay really close attention to the signs here. Your PMT, your yearly contribution, is negative $8,000. That's a cash outflow. And your PV, the initial $50,000 you put in, that's also a negative cash outflow. Both are money leaving your pocket and going into the investment.
And here's what our crystal ball shows us, $201,881.93. That number is your financial destination. That's the total value you can expect after 10 years of growth. Now you know if your plan is actually on track.
Okay, but what if the mystery isn't an amount of money? What if you need to know the interest rate itself? For that, we use the rate function. I call this the growth engine grader. It looks at a deal and figures out the speed, the underlying interest rate, when you know all the other clues.
Let's look at the syntax. It starts with our usual suspects, NPER, PMT, and PV. What's a little different here is the optional guess argument. See, Excel basically guesses and checks over and over to find the right rate. The guess argument just gives it a starting point. It's pretty smart, though. Usually you don't even need it. Let's investigate a simple personal loan. You borrow $1,000, the NPER is 12 months, the PMT is negative 100, that's your payment and outflow, and the PV is a positive 1,000, because that's the cash you received. So what's the missing clue? It's the real cost of borrowing. What rate are you actually paying?
And our grader tells us the rate is 2.92%. Now hold on, this is super important. That is the monthly interest rate, and that's why this tool is so powerful. It uncovers the true cost of borrowing, which, if you were to annualize it, is way higher than you might think.
Okay, on to our last core detective tool, the NPER function. This one is our financial GPS. It tells you exactly how long a financial journey is going to take. Paying off a loan? Saving for a goal? NPER tells you how much time you'll need to get there.
So, to use our GPS, we just plug in the coordinates. We need the rate, which is our speed. We need the PMT, our regular contributions, and the PV, our starting point. Then we just tell it our destination, the FV, and it calculates the route, telling us exactly how many periods or NPER the trip will take.
Let's map out a savings goal. You're earning 12%, so that's our rate. You're adding $100 a year, so PMT is negative 100. You started with 1,000, so PV is negative 1,000. Both are outflows. Your FV, the goal, is a positive 10,000 because that's money you'll get back in the end. So let's ask the GPS, how long is this going to take?
And the GPS says 15.67 years.
Just like that, you have a clear, realistic timeline. This helps you manage your expectations. Or, hey, maybe you decide to change your plan to get there even faster.
Now this tool has a really interesting feature. It's like a built-in sanity check. So what happens when we give our detective a case that's literally impossible to solve? What if the story we're trying to tell just doesn't add up?
Well, think about it. Imagine you have a big loan, but your payment is so small it doesn't even cover the interest that gets added each month. What happens? The loan doesn't shrink, it actually grows. Forever. The journey to paying it off literally never ends. Excel is smart enough to see this illogical story and it throws back a #num error. That's its way of saying, sorry detective, this story makes no sense. The case can't be solved.
Okay, so we've solved for what, how much, and how fast. But what about when? For our last trick, let's look at a bonus tool that helps us find the exact moment a financial milestone happens.
This is the match function. The best way to think about it is as our financial librarian. You tell it what you're looking for, say a specific savings goal, and it scans all the data and tells you exactly where it found it, like which row it's in.
So here's how our librarian works. First, we give it the lookup value. That's the goal we're searching for. Then we give it the lookup array. That's just the column with all our account balances. But here's the real trick, the match type. If we set that to 1, we're not asking for an exact number. We're asking the librarian to find the largest value that's less than or equal to our goal. This is perfect for pinpointing the exact moment we cross a financial finish line.
And that's it. Case closed. We've cracked the time value of money, we've built our toolkit, and we've learnt the rules. Let's quickly recap the core lessons that will turn you into a financial storyteller. So here are the 4 big takeaways. 1. Money is dynamic. $1 today is more powerful than $1 tomorrow. 2. Every story has the same 5 elements: PV, FV, PMT, rate, and NPER. 3. The rules matter. You have to obey the sign convention and time consistency. And 4. These functions are your tools. Use them to solve for the unknown and make really smart, informed decisions. Look, with these concepts and these tools, you're now set up to do way more than just manage your money. You can understand its past, you can calculate its present, and you can write its future. You now have the power to confidently shape your own financial narrative.